Carl and Louis from Brrraaains A Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial.com for sure. And it's the Nasties, and we're making our way towards the latter end of the series now. One of the big ones, one of the ones well known, one of the ones beloved by a lot of people. Quite a unique film, very artsy, very silly at times, but thoroughly enjoyable. With one of my favourite endings in a Nasty to date.
It stays with you.
It does stay with you. It is, of course, The Beyond, the Italian 1981 supernatural gothic horror movie directed by Lucio Fulci and starring Caterina McCall and David Warbeck. I'm not going to do the Italian title, but it does translate as "And You Will Live in Terror the Afterlife," which is a fair enough summation, I think, of the movie. The plot basically follows a woman who inherits a hotel in rural Louisiana. Love the location. Love it. It was once the site of a horrific murder and now may be a gateway to hell. Ooh. It is actually the second film in Fulci's Gates of Hell trilogy after the movie City of the Living Dead, 1980, which is one of the most atmospheric horrors I've ever seen, and was followed by The House by the Cemetery, 1981, which of course is an earlier Video Nasty episode 2. Filmed on location in and around New Orleans in the late 1980, with assistance from the Louisiana Film Commission. Additional photography took place at the Palo Studios in Rome. So predominantly actually on location. Released theatrically in Italy in the spring of 1981, The Beyond did not see a North American release until late 1983. And that was through, it took a while, through Aquarius Releasing, who released an alternative version of the film titled Seven Doors of Death. This version featured an entirely different musical score and ran several minutes shorter than Fulci's original cut, which of course was branded a Video Nasty upon its release in the United Kingdom. Which I think you can see why. I think, like a lot of Fulci films, graphic gore, up close and prolonged.
Yeah, it's just grim all over it. It's got that kind of nasty tone to it. Yeah. It
does, yeah. The original version of the film saw its first United States release in September 1998 through a distribution partnership between Rolling Thunder, Grinders Releasing and Cowboy Booking International. So the original version did not get released in the US until 1998. Just that other version. But The Beyond is ranked as Fulci's most celebrated films and has garnered an international cult following over the ensuing decade. That is true. That is true. I'd seen this film when I was younger, but I couldn't remember a lot from it going back into it. And on rewatch, I get it. I can see why. It's got such a surreal nature to it.
Word, isn't it?
I think that's the word that comes through. Yeah, you can kind of go a lot of the gore and moments are quite garish. It's silly at times and all that. But the surreal nature of it, times where you're like, is it a dream?
Really
is this real? It's really, really well done.
Yeah.
We begin in 1927 when an artist named Schweck works on a hellish painting in room 36 of the Seven Doors Hotel, Louisiana. Love this painting.
Yeah.
Oh, God, it is good. It's one you want on your wall.
Yeah.
You really, really do.
They probably did print of it. You probably can get print of it.
Yeah. Look out for that, yeah. But he is dragged from his room by a mob to the hotel basement and killed for practicing black magic. Apparently he is an evil man and the mob kill him in graphic fashion.
It's pretty.
Fucking horrendous, man. The shit they pour over him. Oh, it's nasty. It's very real. You were like...
There goes the nasty.
There you go. There you go. As this has happened, a white-eyed woman reads from an ancient tome called Ibon, prophesizing the opening of one of the 7 gates of hell. So this might have all been connected to that. We jump to 1981, where Lisa Merrill inherits a hotel. So this happens to be the same hotel, moving from New York City to refurbish and reopen it. Yeah. It seems cool. You know, she doesn't seem to be doing much in New York. She's like, yeah, I want to do this. But soon after she arrives, a worker glimpses a white-eyed woman through a window and falls off his scaffolding. So we instantly get bad vibes, accidents happening on site. The local doctor, John McCabe, is summoned and he takes the injured man to hospital. But in addition to that, the bell for room 36 rings. But no one's in the room. The hotel hasn't opened yet. It's in a bit of a mess. So Lisa dismisses it as being malfunctioning bell. I'd probably go look at least.
Yeah, I wouldn't just go, that's nothing.
Look, yeah, exactly. Find out there's a bum living up there or something, you know? A plumber, Joe, good old Joe, he arrives to investigate the lack of running water and finds the basement flooded. Not just slightly flooded, it is super flooded. But he uncovers a bricked off area. and like a wall to a different area. I love that shit. I love that. There's like hidden
yeah.
walls and doors and all that.
Yeah, little hatches and things.
Yeah. And it's like, because it's where the water's pouring from and it just peels off. So it's quite gross as well in that sense. But he's attacked by something that we don't really see, you know?
It's off camera.
Yeah, it's off camera. But the bodies of Joe and Schweck, because they find Schweck's body down there where it was walled up after he was killed all those years ago. So cool. And Joe's body is found and discovered by the hotel maid, Martha. Martha always comes across quite suspicious throughout this film.
Yeah.
But she's not really.
No.
She seems to know more that's going on. But I wonder if that's just a storytelling aspect that doesn't do a great job of explaining how her and her son kind of link into the overall history of it.
Yeah, just kind of thrown in to kind of throw you off for certain aspects of it.
Yeah, like you're supposed to be like, oh, she knows something that's going on here. Maybe she's evil. Maybe she's in support of the devil and all that kind of thing. But yeah, the bodies are taken to the local hospital or morgue. While driving to town, Lisa encounters a blind woman named Emily and her guide dog. Similar to City of the Living Dead. One of the reasons why I found this movie fascinating to watch is simply how he shoots. And this massive bridge, this wide open expanse, nothing around, blind woman or dog.
Yeah.
It's glorious to look at. You're just like, God, you know how to like make things look amazing on the screen. Like make it pop and just make me focus.
On
you
that,
know?
yeah.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Emily warns Lisa that the reopening of a hotel would be a mistake and she should return to New York at once. So it's kind of like, you're like, okay, you're a blind woman, but you maybe got some sort of psychic powers. At a bar in town, John urges Lisa to give up the hotel project because of the cost more than anything else. But she refuses, explaining that it's the only remaining chance of financial success. Listen, looking at the basement and all that shit, sell it to the city. You can have the land and build what you want on. Give me some money for that. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's not going to work at all. Yeah, the problem is we never really see the hotel progress. No. And you all constantly go, well, how could she afford this? No. You know? I think what overlooking, like, we're kind of getting... It's not that big of a deal. No. In kind of nitpicking more than anything else. But I do think John and Lisa have good chemistry. I quite enjoy them when they're together, you know? There's hints of a relationship there, but it's not focal. Yeah. Later, Emily visits Lisa at the hotel and tells her about Schweck in room 36, warning Lisa to go up there. Now, this bugged me. And maybe someone can offer an explanation for this because I didn't really get it in the movie, but they changed where Schweck got killed.
Yeah.
We saw him get dragged to the basement and his body is found there, but then they started to talk about him being killed in room 36.
Yeah, I mean...
And his body is then seen there later on.
Yeah, unless it's like over the years the
story's changed. I suppose you want to make the whole haunted hotel thing.
You'd put it into a room rather than a basement because no one could stay in the basement, can they?
But then why would Emily say that? Because Emily's kind of a seer. We obviously find out what her character is a little bit further along.
Yeah, it's
a bit of a puzzle one, right?
One.
Yeah, it's one thing that bothered me when we watched it. Upon examining Schweck's paintings, Emily's hands begin to bleed, causing her to run with Dickie, the dog, from the hotel in terror. Quite tension-based scene. You're intrigued by it. You're trying to work out what Emily's angle is. She looks like she wants to help Lisa, but she obviously knows more than she's letting on. Yeah. And we get this cool scene that initially is very confusing as Lisa almost remembers Emily running. Yeah. And she replays it, and it's only when you pay attention you realise it's because she made no footsteps as she left. And that's Lisa going, that was weird. There's no sound of running feet.
Spooky.
Despite Emily's warning, Lisa does enter room 36. I do like the build up to 36 going in there. You know what it reminds me of?
Go on.
The Shining. It reminds me of going to room 236.
Yeah, because you've heard... Because like
when Jack goes.
Yeah.
Because you're like, okay, we know something's bad and now we know it. Let's go experience
like,
it.
Even when you get to the door, there's like blood hanging off the door key. Like, oh, for God's sake.
But like when he first goes in there, it just looks like a normal room. When she goes in, it looks like a normal, abandoned, dusty room. But she discovers the E-bomb book in there, as well as Schweck's corpse nailed to the bathroom wall, which is where we were like, what?
Yeah.
What? She does return to room 36 later with John, but both Ebon and, of course, the corpse are gone. Lisa also tells John about her encounter with Emily, but he's sceptical, insisting that there's no blind woman living in town. So, yeah, there's a lot of mysterious element.
Yeah.
I think he can be really good at writing a story. Like, it's weird, considering what they did in this trilogy, that they never really connected completely.
No.
And you kind of feel like, man, if you've really got to throw a more connective tissue, style. This trilogy could have been amazing. Because I can see a clearer links between City of the Living Dead and The Beyond. Less so with A House by the Cemetery. Like, you've seen House by the Cemetery.
Yeah, I've not seen the first one, though.
Yeah, but try and contrast this film to The House by the Cemetery. Tell me how, like, that kind of works.
No.
Like, when it comes to hell stuff.
Yeah, no.
It's a little harder, isn't it? It is a little bit harder. Furthermore, he also says, John says, the house where Lisa claims Emily lives has been abandoned for years. Ooh. We get a sort of side scene alongside this part where Joe, his body is in the morgue and his wife and daughter come to visit. And we get, it's pretty horrendous as like a mother's so upset. There's many corpses in there. The girl shouldn't be in there for starters. And she's trying to dress him in some like nice clothes, like clearly dealing with incredible grief. And then we get an extended, wow, even for an uncut, I was like, yeah, don't have to go in this long, where an accident effectively occurs, where the mother gets sulfuric acid poured on her face, melting her face away, and the foamy blood slowly approaches the daughter. Oh, God. And this is a very long scene. And it's very disturbing, because it's up close, and they've also used a model, and
got rid of.
You're like, it's pretty full on, and you just kept laughing about how the poor girl's gonna be like traumatized for life now. Yeah. And it's weird. You get scenes like that, but then you get ones that are about to follow later, where Lisa's architect Martin visits the town library to inspect the hotel's blueprints. The blueprints reveal a large, unexplained space in the basement. Love this. I love this kind of mysterious thing, where like you look at a blueprint and it's like almost like a different dimension or a void or something like that. Yeah. Fucking love it.
Or like there's like a new print that goes over the top of the old one, and it's like
give me, because what it does is it creates your imagination. Yeah. And when it comes to stuff involving hell, and you know the circles of hell and stuff like that, I get interested because it's such a mystery and there's so much imagination involved in that. I really do like it. But upon discovering this, Martin is knocked off his ladder by an unseen force. Hurt on the floor, spiders appear and eat him alive. And this again is a really long scene as these spiders slowly approach him, climb over his body, and then like tear out his face. Now, what makes it a bit silly is that it's mostly real spiders, and then an obvious fucking fake one, which is the one that ends up biting his lip and all that kind of thing. And it's horrible. It is a horrible scene, but it's so obviously fake. It's hard to take too seriously. I appreciate that to hide it. He made sure he put real spiders in there and things like that.
But the way he wanted to do certain things obviously had to be a model.
Completely, of course. Back in the hotel, Martha, the one we were very suspicious of, is cleaning the bathroom with room 36 when Joe's corpse just emerges out of dirty bath water and kills her. So you're like, oh, okay, guess Martha wasn't involved. And again, like, you have this sort of thing where it's so surreal, you're like, well, how did Joe's body get there? And it's just like, you kind of end up going, that's fine. It's a weird, surreal story. Yeah, absolutely. John ends up breaking into the house where Emily is supposed to live and obviously finds it completely abandoned. But he does find the E-Bon there and begins to read it, learning that the hotel is apparently one of the 7 gates to hell. Later, Emily in this house, because then we were puzzling over this. You remember, we were like, is it a different dimension, a different time? You know, that kind of situation. She's in her home with a dog, and the corpse of Shrek arrives with the other recently deceased, and they kind of just stand around and do nothing. She tells the dog to attack, which it does, and chases away the undead. Here we get some conversation from Emily implying that she also might be from hell herself, but maybe from a more nicer side. The nicer part of hell. You know, she's not from the Bronx, the sticks, that kind of thing. She comes from the upper class area of hell. But the dog, who I had established at that point was a hellhound, ends up turning against her and killing her. So I guess, you know, hell wasn't happy with what she was doing. I guess.
That's where you can go.
Yeah, you gotta accept it. It's a difficult one. So we're reaching the end of the film where Lisa enters the hotel basement once more and is attacked by an undead hotel worker. In her escape, she runs into John again at the hotel entrance. Obviously, he's, you crazy woman, what are you talking about? They investigate, there's no sign of the undead worker, and Lisa does begin to question her own sanity at this stage. They end up driving to the hospital and find it deserted except for Dr. Harris, Joe's daughter Jill, who's still there. And this is where the movie basically takes on full zombie. A horde of undead, all rising from their deathbeds.
Yeah.
I don't know how I felt about this at the time. I was a bit like, okay, all right. To be fair, he does deal. They mostly are zombies most of the time anyway. City of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
It's zombies.
Yeah.
And but Don't Go to Basement. The doctor, he's a zombie effectively himself. So I was like, okay, it's fine.
You know we are with these.
But it is quite long-winded.
Yeah.
The sort of chase and run through the hospital. The slow-moving zombies. Harris is killed by flying glass, and John dispatches Jill when Jill turns around and shows that her eyes are all crusty and she's a zombie, and he kills her when she attacks Lisa. So like I said, we do get a lot of sort of trying to run away from the zombies, hiding.
Yeah.
There is a sense of panic and feeling like they're being overwhelmed. So I do like that. But they end up escaping down a staircase, but they end up arriving into the basement of the hotel. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, okay, this is it. We're at the end game.
Yeah.
And what an end game it is. John notes how impossible the entire ordeal has been, but he accepts, like, this is real. Like, we've been going through this, and the only option now is to go on. Because the zombies start to come down the staircase behind them.
Yep.
They proceed through the flooded labyrinth, through the back area that was open, and basically come out into a wasteland.
Yeah.
The same landscape that you'll recognise from Schweck's painting.
Yep. So,
And it looks fucking amazing.
yeah.
Like, it's
so bleak and
Yep.
grim and it's amazing. And because you've already seen the painting, you're like, and when you kind of realise you're like, oh shit, they're like in the.
What did you think it was?
No, I knew it from
No. What do you think it was in relation to hell?
I bet it's like purgatory.
Purgatory.
Like the in between.
In between, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can. In terms of hell, I'm guessing that can go on for ages before you even get to hell. And...
I'm going to reference a book. I'm going to reference Discworld's Small Gods. Now, of course, Small Gods belief is such a major part of it, and in that the belief is that at the time of death, you will have to cross the silent desert. You will have to do it as you're crossing over. That's what I got.
Yeah.
That's the thing that linked up immediately.
Yeah.
And that was really important for me, absolutely. But no matter what direction they turn, they find themselves back at the starting point. Yeah. They're here now. They're not leaving. And the last shot is when seeing them being blinded by Emily. Like Emily, sorry, not by Emily. Like Emily with her eyes sort of contact lenses and stuff like that. And then they disappear. I loved it. I was just like, oh, what a banging ending.
Yeah.
Super dark, super depressing, but super fitting. Super fucking fitting. It leaves so much to your imagination. It leaves so much where you're like, okay, what's actually gone on here? Still not 100% clear.
No.
But I can enjoy it for its abstractness.
Yeah.
It's one of the times where the less you're telling me, the more I'm like, okay, cool.
And the better it is, that's bleak. Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't tell us everything. Don't have some crappy ending where everything's resolved and tidied up. Yeah, I really liked it.
You can't help but wonder if this didn't have extreme gore in it, and that was played down a lot more, and instead it focused on this kind of story, that this might be like more than a cult classic. That with a wider audience available to watch it,
they would,
with this abstract story, this intriguing elements, this touching, deep look at a view of hell and stuff like that. I think it could have been really, really popular.
Definitely.
I think it's a great movie. Yeah. We thoroughly fucking enjoyed watching it from beginning to end. Its negatives, for me, the negatives mainly surround some iffy acting, obviously. Yeah. Obviously. The
bit of speed, some of the things stalled in a little bit. The hospital part.
Yeah, some unnecessarily dragged up parts. Both the hospital part with the little girl and the melted face and the blood, and the spider bit just go on too long.
Yeah. Just
go on too long. It feels like they're on for a good 5 odd minutes, and you're like, come on, man, half that, and you're still getting a really long, effective fucking scene. And some of this more confusing, where I'm not too sure things quite worked as well. And the biggest one is that why Room 36 is suddenly important now. And even like at the end, it's like, it's not Room 36 to go to.
No.
It's the fucking basement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit odd.
But it is such a strong movie from beginning to end. I think, because I've always loved City of the Living Dead, I think it's one of the most atmospheric horrors I've ever seen. And I still think it might beat The Beyond in that regard. But I do think I like The Beyond more overall.
No, see, I like to see this, because City of the Living Dead isn't nasty, is it?
No, it's not nasty. No,
so
it's not nasty.
I've not seen it.
So it can't be part of this series.
Yeah.
Whereas I think Don't Look in the Basement, Don't Go in the Basement is... It's Don't Look in the Basement. No, it's Don't Go into the Basement.
Isn't it
House by the Cemetery? You're right.
Yeah,
God, it's Don't Look in the Basement. Different film. The House by the Cemetery. The Don't Looks are different ones.
Yeah.
Don't Look in the Basement is the one with
the doctor.
The doctor, the crazies.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think House by the Cemetery is the weakest one of the three, based off seeing this one now, even though it's still a very, very strong movie. I think this is one of the best Nasties. And I get it as well. This is an easy one to look at and point at and go, yeah, this is why this is a nasty. Yeah. Very, very simple. And it's one where I generally think, yeah, you could have cut. You could have cut bits of this.
So like the prolonged...
Just the prolonged nature of it. And the overtly, like, this is really, really long. And, like, even things like, do you have to see the spider bite into his lip? Yeah. You could say we don't need to.
I do.
Oh, well, we did anyway. You know, it's irrelevant because you can view this one completely uncut. Shit, it's so popular. It's on Netflix or Amazon or one of the two.
Amazon, it was on.
Yeah, like this is freely available. It's out there. So if you've not seen it, make sure you do. I think you'll thoroughly enjoy it, particularly if you want something that just makes you go, huh, yeah, that's weird. Yeah. If you have seen it though, let us know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Tumblr. Go to Patreon to help us out over there. That's patreon.com/gbhbl, as well as Big Cartel, where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?